huge breaking news. I had to come in first today because there's just so much unfolding. But, of course, Owen will do an excellent job as well. Where to begin? Let me get into the situation with North Korea first. And just let the audience know that I don't want war with North Korea. Only an insane person would want that because it could easily draw in Russia and China. But I wanted to give you Trump's calculus on this because it's been left a bit nebulous in the media as to why this is happening. It's bigger than North Korea. And the threat of North Korea is obviously a lot bigger than North Korea. And it's beyond North Korea basically already having ICBMs that can hit U.S. territories and clearly hit the U.S. West Coast delivering payloads. Evidence shows it probably can't deliver payloads to the central or eastern areas of the United States with those payloads coming in back into the atmosphere with their single warhead technology undisturbed. The real reason this is happening is that under global strategic tension, a Zbigniew doctrine, which was an expansion of the David Rockefeller UN doctrine of creating a destabilized world, playing countries off against each other, deindustrializing the nations, and then using the crisis of war or the threat of war to consolidate power in the hands of the multinational corporations and their governmental combined control arms like the UN, like the IMF, the World Bank, and now the TPP. And that's their admitted globalist plan. America is to be a military reservation with only military forces, just like the classic 1970s film Rollerball kind of created a Hollywood-style cosmology to explain their system, where you have the energy sector, and then you have the weapons sector, and you have the technology sector, and you've got the, but then if you're a technology sector, you have to farm that out evenly so no one ever gets a toehold on the other, and so war becomes obsolete. But from the beginning, globalism was set up to actually cause war against the poor, war against the nation state, war against the family, war against the individual, and was a con. It was a deceptive fraud. We have the former heads of the Davos Group and others going public saying globalism was a fraud, globalism is a lie, globalism is a giant authoritarianism. And so MacArthur in July of 1953 was relieved of command by then President Harry S. Truman for refusing to let the communist Chinese come in and overwhelm and kill our troops there at the Yalu River. 3 million came in. We'd already been fighting several million Chinese with maybe 1/10 the force and kicking their butt. So in came the Chinese and human wave attacks. And MacArthur, before they ever got nukes, before they ever took over the region, said, we got to take them out now. We got to deal with the communists now. And he was withdrawn from command. Old soldiers never die. They just fade away. And that was the beginning of modern globalism as we see it now. And the strategic tension was created, and North Korea was used as a set piece to prop up China, prop up communism, menace Japan, and control the whole area. Now, that said, I don't want to have a war with North Korea, but they've now been given the missile secrets by the Clintons and the globalists and now the communist Chinese. They've been given the delivery systems as a pretext to be the trigger for a future China war with the U.S. And that's a fact. China is planning that. And they think Russia's going to be drug in. Trump wants to do a behind-the-scenes deal to bring Russia in. And there have been previous deals behind the scenes with Nixon and others where the Russians wanted to do a preemptive strike. This also happened under Eisenhower on the Chinese. And the U.S. wanted to do a strike as well, back and forth. And then both sides would renege when it came down to the 11th hour to launch the preemptive strike together against China. So Russia doesn't like China even more than it doesn't like the U.S. because China is right on its doorstep and has been a historic problem in many cases. And you can look all this up. This has happened throughout history. So North Korea has been put there by the globalists as a detonator. And I understand their people are starving, and I understand it's horrible, and I understand these big sanctions only hurt them mainly, and I don't like it. But I'm telling you the strategic thinking of President Trump in all of this is that we have to look strong because the globalists, the CFR that worked for the communist Chinese, hinted at this during the campaign, and then once the president was president-elect, that they were going to use North Korea blustering and rolling out its new weapon systems that it had been keeping quiet to basically embarrass Trump and to create a crisis for Trump that he would have to back down from, thus blunting U.S. power globally so that we again could be balkanized politically and not be the dominant world unipolar power. And I get Putin wants a bipolar power and all that, and so do I. I don't want the U.S. to be the world empire. But the point is the globalists are the world empire right now, playing off the three major power blocks, and they want to be able to bring the United States into check and checkmate, if need be, with the North Korean detonators. So you're getting the real briefings the president's gotten, and you're getting the real strategic thinking behind the whole ball of wax. And so by bringing this war to the fore now, against China, making Russia stand down, this will encircle and geopolitically break China's back as it attempts to roll out a global takeover from Latin America to Eastern Europe to much of Africa, which China is doing, via a program where it double-crossed the United States behind the scenes politically with spies and strategic influence and financial influence with over 10,000 front companies inside the United States. So this is all about China. And it's about forcing Russia into a new alliance with the United States that Trump had already planned and been setting up with General Flynn strategically because Russia's Christian, anti-globalist, and, of course, anti-radical Islam. And Putin was beginning to orbit into that, believing it could happen, but Trump has been partially blocked by the neocons, by the Democrats, by the Brzezinskyites, by the globalists into that strategic program. And so right now, Trump is battling with the globalists in a game of super brinksmanship with North Korea, with the U.S. prepared to strike by February. They're all telegraphing that, and they mean it. They're go, go, go. They're going to go. It's not a bluff. If Russia doesn't stand down and side with us, then China will roll over. North Korea will be fully isolated, forced to sue for peace, and there can be some type of new armistice and a program to begin merging in the next decade, the North and the South, and ending strategic crisis, ending strategic pressure, ending the so-called system of balkanization. Strategic tension is the proper term, but they've got a lot of subterms to it. So that's where this is. This is Trump saying, we're not going to back both sides anymore. We're not going to back radical Islam. We're not going to fund civil wars. We're not going to do this. The problem is McMaster and others are globalists. They're still working behind the scenes trying to sabotage that because Trump's still working off a plan that others in the Pentagon that are patriots and General Flynn and General Jones and others had developed that Trump bought into during the campaign. But he's being sabotaged. And because of that, I don't think it's safe to play this brinksmanship with China and Russia when especially we've got traitors within our midst and our command and control system that are communist Chinese agents. Because the infiltration is not Russian. And if it was Russian, I'd say it all day and, you know, say to hell with Russia. Russia can barely fend off the globalists and is trying to reindustrialize and build its population and stabilize. Russia is in a stabilization phase. The globalists are mad because they can't get control of it right now, just like they want control of the U.S. back and only have partial control right now. So that's the real strategic global lay of the land, ladies and gentlemen. That's the breakdown of this entire system as it stands right now. And I think we should have a real discussion about this. We'll be right back. There have been more Somali stabbings in the U.S.